Hello? Hello?
A unique home, a mysterious child and a malevolent spirit await the Most Haunted team as we travel to Wales.
And this week I've brought my team to a place where ghosts roam in abundance. Phantom dogs show themselves to unsuspecting guests and fear runs through every fabric of the building. Welcome to Most Haunted and to Greganog Hall.
Standing on an ancient settlement, Greganog Hall was built in 1840. Constructed entirely of concrete. Greganog is famous for being home to the Davies family. David Davies was a wealthy industrialist and the hall passed to his two granddaughters, Gwendolyn and Margaret. They used the hall as a hospital for wounded soldiers during the Second World War. With such a rich history, it is no surprise that Greganog is rife with haunting stories.
The first floor of this magnificent building holds a terror all of its own, as the bedrooms seem to be a magnet for lost souls and negative entities. This area is said to be inhabited by a male spirit who doesn't want people anywhere near him. The pitiful sight of a ghostly child has also been seen sitting at the end of the bed, and many people fear the corridors as they are thought to harbour a disgruntled spirit that follows unsuspecting staff and guests alike.
Guests of the hall tell of a large man followed by a faithful dog that loiters by the main entrance. But upon further inspection, man nor beast can be seen.
The rest of the house is also abundant with ghostly tales of lost souls. A lady dressed in blue haunts the laundry room, and a phantom drip, drip, drip can be heard from non-existent clothes drying. Faces appear at the upper windows, thought to be the spirit of a tortured suicide victim. A woman with a ruffled collar and dark dress is said to walk through the solid walls. But all of these sightings are above ground. But for a claustrophobic fear and a sense of foreboding, I'll take you down in the cellar, where shadows appear, noises heard, and the spectre of a large man manifests to chase away all who enter.
Believed to be the ghost of a servant, the fearsome figure that lurks in the cellar is said to violently rebuff anyone who ventures down here. But not all the spirits said to haunt this great home are believed to be from recent times. To gain a more in-depth picture of this home and the land it stands on, I asked historian Leslie Smith to research this area's past.
Greganog Hall is set in 750 acres in mid-Wales. It has a beautiful Victorian face, but at the root of it is an ancient settlement. The family that we're here were the Blaney family. They were very prosperous, certainly in the 14th century and 15th century. The family were fierce royalists, and although we were on the other side during the War of the Roses, fighting for the Yorkists, it didn't seem to matter to the Tudors, who looked after them very well indeed. They were highly respectable and did very well under the Tudor crown. Edward Blaney was a swashbuckling character at the court of Elizabeth and looked after the Queen very well indeed. He went over to Ireland, where he fought bravely in the Irish campaign. Then we find a tremendous character come, Arthur Blaney. Arthur Blaney is somebody we should admire just as much as Edward. He was a man who was the last of the line, a kind and gentle man who believed in looking after people a man of great dignity in the 18th century, and maybe his soul is still rooted here. After he died, Viscount Tracy took over the building, and then Hanbury Tracy, a link through the family. Hanbury Tracy was a man of a great pioneer idea. It was called concrete. Of course, concrete had been around in one form or another well before him, but he was the man who wanted to build whole buildings out of concrete. Here we are. Here's this building, built about 1840. It's odd, actually, because at first when you see it, you think that it's classic half-timbering, but when you get close, you realise that it's painted concrete. And that concrete was also built in properties throughout the whole estate. After his death, the family then moved away from here, and the Davis family came along. Now, the Davises were rich, with a capital R. The great David Davis left his granddaughters £500,000 each, it is said. You have to understand, this is at a time in the 1920s when they came here, you could buy a very respectable house indeed for about £200. But these ladies, like other good people who lived in this house, wanted to put something back. Both of them had run canteens in the First World War for soldiers, and they decided in the Second World War that they would make this property a place where soldiers could come to get better.
With its layered history and numerous functions, Gregginog is certainly challenging in respect of an investigation, something I'm keen to discuss with parapsychologist Dr. Kieran O'Keefe.
Well, Kieran, here we are, another unusual location. We've got apparitions, we've got fantastic love story, we have World War I and World War II soldiers recuperating here, and these wonderful sisters that did all of this, for the war effort. I think it's a great place, fantastic stories, but are any of them true?
I shouldn't be sceptical about the story of the figure of the heartbroken lover. I shouldn't be sceptical about it because it's an account, it's a ghost story. However, it's classic, it's almost like a stereotypical story. And we don't have a lot of sightings of her, so I don't think we're going to capture her on the investigation.
Have you noticed that in a lot of the investigations that we do, there's a lot of people falling out of windows?
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
what is that about?
It is a common thread. If it's not that, then there's some sort of intrigue or hidden secret about the master and the maid, that sort of thing. And I think it just basically it comes from storytelling. We always go back to that. But if there's an apparition or if there's a ghost or something that's seen in a particular place and it's an upper floor, then why did somebody die? They either died in bed or they fell out the window.
No.
So
it doesn't sit well with me, I have to say.
No, I'm a little bit suspicious of that. But there is another area of the location that I think is quite significant, and that's the cellar area.
It's always a horrid cellar that we have to investigate.
Yeah.
And I have to say, this particular cellar, you're absolutely right, it's very creepy.
It is very creepy, and it has a great story associated with it, in that there's a figure, supposedly this quite negative, gruff, aggressive figure. But the reason why I'm pointing it out is not so much because it's a cellar or because of this figure. It's because the variety of phenomena that's associated with one individual. So you have sense of presence, people seeing things, hearing things, and also this sense of being pushed as soon as you go down into the cellar. Essentially, we've got a spirit down there that doesn't want us there. And I think for that reason, that's where you should go straight away.
OK, we will do. Ooh, I'm intrigued.
With Kieran's recommendation to check out the cellar, I escort medium Chris Conway down here for our lit walk-around. But before we can even get set up, Chris picks up on a sinister presence.
We've got a male presence there.
We have?
Yes, a very dark presence. As soon as we walked through this door here, it was basically saying, out.
Oh, really?
Out. Get out. Straight away. As soon as we walked in.
And now with the lights on.
Who is down here again? You touched on it earlier.
We've got the name David. And again, when we walked in, it was go. It's basically ordering us out of here.